Hey, Slider Crusaders, I want to talk about Syria for a little bit, even though this was a news story for about 3 seconds. Remember a week or so ago, launching 105 missiles into Syria? So my long-developed political talk show, patriotic American reaction is good. Kill the bad guys, launch a few missiles. Truly, I mean, that's my gut reaction. And I agree with Sebastian Gorka here, who used to be an aide to Trump. Here he was on Laura Ingram's show.
Think of one thing. Everybody out there who's got issues, everybody who's got their tinfoil hat on, that the white helmets did it, and that Russia said the British did the chemical attack. I mean, do you want to believe that one next? To anybody who has doubts, think about this one question. What happens when the Assad regime uses chemical weapons, as Secretary Mattis said, and as he did last year, and I saw the intelligence for the proof of that being the Assad regime, and we do nothing? What message does that send to Iran? What message does that send to Assad? What message does that send to proxies? Because it sends a clear message, as far as I'm concerned, that we got away with it and we can do it again. And where are they going to do it next? In Jordan, one of our most important allies in the region, to precipitate a civil war there? Are they going to do it in Tel Aviv? Are we prepared to let that genie out of the bottle? I, as an American, as a taxpayer, as somebody who believes that these kinds of weapons are illegal and should be responded to, I'm not prepared to pay that price.
So I totally understand that argument, and that's my first gut reaction. But then I think about one of the new principles on our radio show this last year, and that is perhaps the opposite is true. We need to at least consider the exact opposite of a proposal. So Gorka's argument, and I think I'm fairly summarizing, is if we do nothing, it will send a message of weakness. Okay, so what's the opposite? Let's consider it. If we do something, it will send a message of weakness. So we launched 105 missiles. Russia claims 71 of them were shot down. We say that didn't happen. None of us know the truth. Truly, I have no idea. But let's say the truth is somewhere in the middle. Let's say maybe half of our missiles were either shot down or missed their targets in some way. Did that show our strength, like Gorka said, or does that show our weakness? Let's propose the opposite again. So the original statement is, if we do nothing, it will send a message of weakness. How about this? If we do nothing, it will send a message of strength. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia orchestrated all of this to drag us into war, to keep us in a quagmire, to make us weaker. We already announced we were leaving. Trump said we were leaving. And now we are very much re-engaged. And we always overextend empires. Our empires always overextend and kill themselves. Always has, and that's always going to be the case. So maybe doing nothing sends a message of strength. It sends a message of we know who we are, we know what we're doing, and we know that this is not necessary to maintain American national security. Maybe that's a position of strength. So again, in my many years of talk radio, I've learned that especially foreign policy, we know very little, and we make up movies in our head. I'll give you a quick example. Of course, you heard about the 2 black men who were escorted out of the Starbucks by police in handcuffs. And there's a video of the police officers in Philly doing this, and the 2 black people, they say they were doing nothing, and it looks like they weren't, but and then an employee called police on them, right? The police chief says the police acted perfectly. The CEO of Starbucks says it's reprehensible. You know all the fallout from that. But here we have Black Lives Matter protesting and boycotting, and it's the whole thing. You and I, and people commenting on it and protesting about it and tweeting about it, we have no idea what happened. We have no idea. We have no idea what the 2 guys said or did, or what the barista said or did or was thinking. We know nothing about it. But everyone's quick to not only form an opinion, but form a storyline in their head about what happened, good or bad. Now, if that's true for 2 guys in a Starbucks in Philly, how much more don't we know about what happened in a city in a country that 99% of Americans can't point to on a map, that may or may not have any impact on America anyway? And oddly enough, just one last thing on Syria, Nikki Haley said in the UN that Assad has used chemical weapons 50 times on his own people during their civil war, including twice in that one city this year. So we've already sent messages to Assad about using chemical weapons. He didn't get them. So why do we think he will now? So I don't know the right thing to do. I really don't. I know that's not good talk radio, and it doesn't make a very convincing video here, because I'm supposed to come here and say with great certainty about what we should do. But I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to support this because Trump did it, or because I'm patriotic, and it's the pro-military thing to do. Maybe it's not. I got a couple friends who are special operator guys getting ready for deployment. I'll never forget, I was talking to one of them during the campaign, during the election, about foreign policy theories. Right? And he said, Slater, can you just pray with me that our world leaders have wisdom? And it just hit me that it's all very real for him. He might be the guy landing in Syria before we launch more missiles. So is it pro-military to send him someplace he shouldn't be? Or is it pro-military to be wise with our warriors so that he can see his wife and kids again? So my point here is just to question everything and always consider, just consider if the opposite of what you're being told is closer to the truth.